Hi, everyone. Susan Tran here. Welcome to Women's Wednesday. We are talking about the gender pay gap. And joining us on this morning's Women's Wednesday is Whitney Harrington of Ascend People. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
This is an interesting topic, the gender pay gap. It's symbolically how long women have to work to catch up to the men in their same kind of professions, titles, and standings. Right. And it's pretty much a solid 3 months that women typically have to work, right?
Yes, exactly. I think that there's been a historical aspect of there being this pay gap that exists between women and men. And, the 3 months is crazy to me, right? That it would take that long just to try to make up what a man is getting just for working. So,
and we just reached it. And can you talk a little bit about why the gender pay gap exists, why there is a disparity, an 83-cent, 81-cent difference to the dollar that men make?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different factors, right? And I think that there's not any one thing that is causing more of the gap than others, but I think there's a few things that we know about what causes this. And so the first thing is that I think that there just have been historical just kind of like bias and discrimination around women's work and the value of women working and the need for them to be working that has created that. And so you will see sometimes where roles that have historically been held by women are valued lower, right? If you think about your teachers and your social workers and people in certain health care, they're usually predominantly women fields, right? And so those usually are paid less, right? And so I think there's just some of that becomes a part of it. I think that there's also the aspect of just kind of childcare and motherhood that plays a part in it, that there are usually gaps that women face in terms of having to come away from the workplace for a while. And then when you reemerge, right, you've already kind of like 10 months of time or a year of time has passed. And so it can be difficult to catch up in those ways. So there's lots of different things, but it's really unfortunate that we're still facing some of these in this time.
And is there also the kind of perception that when you're getting a pay raise or if you're going to be promoted, that there's like a different gauge depending on if you're a woman or a man?
Yeah, so I think that there's a couple things I think that comes up in that. So generally, I feel like men are a little bit more assertive when it comes to I'm ready for a promotion and negotiating for what that looks like in their work, where women are, I think, a little bit more passive sometimes. And I know there's been a lot of work to be done to help women to have more of that confidence and assertiveness in their work, but it's going to take time, right, to see it across the population. So there's that. I think there's also the aspect that I think that there are ways that women's labor is not always compensated for and seen as valuable for a promotion or for increased pay. And so there's a lot of things that, sometimes that I think women are guilty in doing, such as, right, like taking on assignments and projects, right, and just doing so, raising your hand because you want to be helpful, but not necessarily getting the commensurate compensation for it. And so I think that you see that happening in terms of the value that it puts into being ready for a promotion, being ready for that next tier in your career. That happens more for men than it does for women.
And the latest census came out with how much the gap is actually not diminishing, but actually grew, which was a little startling. We went from 83 cents in 2023 to 81 cents. So we're losing 2 cents. Did you think at this point we should be making more headway, or why are we kind of regressing in that sense?
I definitely think that we should have been making more headway. And I think, when I think about some of the stats that talk about how many women are graduating from college, getting higher education, it is surprising that that's the case. And I'm not exactly sure where that comes from. I think that some of it is to what I talked about, where you have certain fields that are historically undervalued, and like where they're getting their education, where they're getting new career opportunities are in places that were historically predominantly women, and thus undervalued and not getting the gain that they need to see. Also, when we think about our economy and how it has grown, a lot of that comes in more men-dominated fields, right? Tech, a lot of the trades, things of that nature that are generally not held by women. And so I can see how those have maybe grown over time, and then continue to create that disparity between women's pay growth and men's.
And what is a huge frustration when you're talking to other women? You're an HR specialist, you do a TikTok informing women. What is their growing frustration with pay and inequity in the workplace?
Yeah, I mean, so I hear it all the time that folks, women in particular, are very dissatisfied with pay. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times there's this feeling that you're not being adequately compensated for the work that you're contributing, right? And so it can feel very disheartening of all the work and the labor that women are putting into their jobs, that's invisible, that is not as valued, and you feel like you're working a whole lot. You go in, you spend your 8, sometimes 10 hours a day, to not feel like you're able to see that gain in your paycheck can be really frustrating, right? And I think that a lot of women really feel really proud to be coming to work and contributing all that they can. And there's a lot of knowledge and expertise that women bring to the workforce. And so I think that that's where they feel the most frustration, is that it's just not translating, even though it has been, research has shown that when women are involved in the workplace, they have higher profits. They are more successful in their companies. And so to not see that kind of trickle down to the women who are contributing to that, I think is extremely frustrating.
All right, we'll be right back. You're watching Women's Wednesday. Welcome back to Women's Wednesday. I am talking to Whitney Harrington for Ascend People, and we are discussing pay and equity and the gender pay gap. And it doesn't sound significant when you say around 81 cents to the dollar, but women generally have to work 3 full months more to catch up.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. So what do? How do women figure out if they're on par with their male colleagues?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So I think there's a few ways that women can do this. The first is that we're trying to get better, I think, as a workplace across our country, of having more transparency in pay, right? So you can start to see them more on job listings, right? So I think that you should be doing some research. Look at your job, go out in the market and see what are people paying for it, and that should be an indication of the totality of the workplace, and so you can figure out how are you stacking up to those jobs. The other thing is that you by law are able to talk about your pay with your colleagues at work.
Okay.
And I think
there's no parameters that say you are not allowed to tell what people.
Well, there are companies who have tried to say this, but by law, under the National Labor Relations Board, you can speak about pay to your colleagues. They cannot stop you from doing that. And so I do think that there is a lot of value in starting to talk to your colleagues, particularly your male colleagues, about what are you being paid for this job, so that you can understand, is there a gap, and be able to, take some recourse if you find that that gap exists, and try to figure out why you're being paid less. The thing that I would just keep in mind when you think about this, we want to be thinking about apples to apples. So we're not just saying, you don't want to grab a job that is not necessarily what you're doing, but if you have colleagues who are in the same job as you, maybe in a different department of your job, I think that's a great comparison. And then if you're looking outside, look at that job description to see, does this feel like what I do in my work? And then that might be another great comparator to find out what the pay is, and then for you to compare yourself to it to see how far of a gap there might exist.
Because the general thought is it's taboo to talk about salary. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know that is this a federal law that allows you to kind of have communications?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a federal law. And I think it's just been kind of like the best kept secret that, companies try to prevent people from doing. And I also think there's just been historically a lot of just kind of suppressing that type of transparency so that it feels taboo. But yes, you can. And I think that we are seeing more employees share that information for what was the pay, what were you doing? Were you in this position? That I think we need to do more of,
right,
in order for people to have that transparency.
And when you're having these considerations that perhaps I'm not making as much as the men in similar roles with similar experience, how do you go about negotiating for a salary increase?
Yes. So I know negotiating, whether it's at a new, as a new hire, a candidate, or even in your role, it's extremely intimidating, right?
Yes.
So I think that folks have to first build up that courage, and I think that you should, right? You are, if you're really thinking about this thoughtfully, this is about your worth. This is about what you're contributing, getting the right pay for what you're contributing to your work. So you want to ground yourself in that as you encounter this. The next thing I would say that you need to do is you need to find out what is it that you are actually looking for, right? And why. And I think that if you're able to kind of build that case for yourself that you will then take to your employer to say, okay, I've done my research in other companies, right, that I've been able to find online. Mm-hmm. I've talked to my colleagues internally and found out that where I'm sitting. And based on all that, I think a fair place for me to be is X. Right? So you have the justification. You're not just kind of, randomly finding numbers, but you have a good case to build. Then I would say you go to your supervisor or go to HR to make that case. I think it's really important to, again, ground it in more of the objective factors rather than the feelings, mm-hmm. right? I feel like I should be making more. This is not fair. And try to ground it in the numbers, to think about what have you accomplished, what have you added and contributed to the organization above and beyond your job description. I think there's a little bit of a misconception where people feel like if I'm just here, I've been here for a long time, I should get paid more and more and more, where that may not be the reality. So if you can be able to demonstrate that your being there has increased the bottom line, has created more successes, things like that above and beyond your job description, it makes a stronger case for you to do that. And hopefully in doing so, your employer, HR, will really take that seriously and be able to give you some type of response for that.
And you also had mentioned when we talked about this before that it is very important to practice this because it's intimidating, because these are managers and nobody likes to do this.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think in anything that you're unfamiliar with, right, practice can be helpful. And I know it can feel silly, but I've certainly been one of those people who have looked myself in the mirror, right, and talking to my boss, right, in that mirror and saying, okay, I'm going to say this, they're probably going to say this, right? But another way that you can practice is with your friends, right? Or with your partner or your spouse, and just saying, I want to talk about this. This is what I'm going to say. Give me a little bit of, feedback, or be a little harsh so I can, kind of prepare myself for what might be the range of responses that I receive from my employer. So I think it's a great way just to get your nerves down and to talk about this, because I think often when you don't have that confidence, it can come off emotional, which gets into some of that subjectivity that I think can, make it a little bit more difficult for an employer to take your concerns seriously.
Right. And the worst thing that can happen is they say no.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
All right. You're watching Women's Wednesday. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Women's Wednesday, and we have Whitney Harrington from Ascend People joining us to talk about the gender pay gap that exists, actually gotten a little worse in the last couple years, and the second year in the row that we saw a decline in how much women are making compared to men. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we've discussed is just how to negotiate kind of closing the gap a little bit by asking for a salary increase. And what I wanted to ask you is, does it change depending on where you are in your career? Like if you're kind of new in your career, as opposed to maybe a decade or decade and a half in, or well established in what you're doing in your fields?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when you are earlier in your career, perhaps a new grad, a few years out, right, you don't have a lot of a track record, right, with which to be able to leverage in a salary negotiation. So in that case, the best things to do is to try to leverage some of the experiences that you've had prior to this job, so internships, the education that you're bringing to the role, and then also kind of thinking about your potential and how you can be able to equate some type of value to what you would maybe able to do in this work, I think can be a great way for you to approach it as an early in your career. Now, when you're later in your career or mid-career, you have a lot more track record in which to leverage for that negotiation. So really talking about what have you been able to accomplish in this work, again, above and beyond the job description. How have you added more profit? How have you created more efficiencies? How have you created more impact? You once you've been in the workplace for a while, there's a lot more of those examples that you can use, and I think those are the things that you're going to want to leverage and base your decision, your negotiations on. That is different than when you're early in your career and you don't have that.
Right. You have some things to concretely point to that I've done X and it led to Y.
Exactly.
And that's why I'm very valuable in this space.
Exactly.
When you think about negotiating and maybe bringing an offer that you got from another company, or do you need to leave in order to continue with your progress or to make that much more? Is that something that you have to really consider carefully?
Yes. So I think the unfortunate thing about our current workplace is that I would say this anecdotally, I don't have research to show this, but anecdotally, I have found that you will make significantly more when you leave a company. And it feels a little backwards for an employer to allow that to come to that point when you have so much intellectual capital and you know so much about the business and they know how hard it is to find talent to replace you, that they would allow that to happen, but it does. So I definitely think it's a consideration. There are risks, obviously, right? Like, the employer you're working for now, you have colleagues that you probably like your work. And so I often tell people to think about what is most important to you at this moment, and pay is one piece of that. It's a significant piece of your livelihood, but there's a fuller package in terms of the flexibility your job offers, the types of camaraderie that you have with your colleagues, the type of work you get to do. And so when you put that all together, you might find that that piece about the salary does make a significant impact for you. And I would begin to start thinking about what might that look like outside of it, particularly if your current employer will not budge on a salary increase. So you can try that. I think the other piece to consider is that, yes, if you have an offer in hand, it does make the negotiations a little bit easier, right? Where you can say, I've gotten this offer, I don't want to leave. Can you match it or can you, beat it?
Yeah.
I think it does give you a lot more leverage than just kind of, saying, I'd like to go look outside. Please try to, negotiate and increase my salary.
But what do you say to someone, probably a younger woman, who are intimidated by the fact that I'm going to bring this to my manager or my boss and be like, I got this offer, that might reflect poorly and it's not going to go well and it's uncomfortable because there's conflict?
Yeah. So, I think before the break you mentioned about the worst thing that they could say is no, right? And I think that the reality is that this is business, and there's nothing personal in this. And I think a lot of folks kind of think about this personally because it's like your pay, it's
absolutely
your livelihood. But from a business standpoint, from a supervisor standpoint, a lot of people see this and they understand. They've made moves before. They've moved companies. So I think you have to kind of ground yourself in that this is taking the personal away from it.
Right.
You're trying to think about the objective nature of, I need a salary increase. This is why. Here's the offer that I have. And how can we talk about this meaningfully to figure out if the right thing is for me to do is to stay here and be countered offered with a higher salary, or for me to move forward. And so I think that if you can have that, I think that some people will be surprised by how well the conversation can go. And even in some cases where you can get more and people will tell you, no, please, please don't go. Let's try to figure out how we can get you to stay. And it can feel really good sometimes for that to happen.
Right. And it doesn't necessarily mean they can't match you in funds, which might be the case, but they can try to match in benefits of or vacation
Exactly.
days or whatever it is to close that gap for you.
Exactly. So that's what
Yeah.
I was talking about. There's a package, right? And
Yeah.
you can think about that. And sometimes they may not be able to come to the salary. Sometimes budget limitations,
Right.
those things are real and they exist. And so you might be able to say, well, okay, if we can't do this, I really like being here. Maybe I can get extra vacation days, right? Maybe the benefits are a little bit better when I compare it to the new offer, etc. Maybe there's some flexibility. Remote work is a big thing for people right now. And so if you can maybe find those ways of kind of compensating for any salary gap that you might see between offers, I think it can be really helpful too.
All right, really quickly, because again, we're running out of time, but what do you say about the knowledge that there are international companies that are requiring pay transparency, especially in the EU? So there are places and leverages that are coming to help, right?
Yes, absolutely. So not only that in the EU, here in the United States, there are several states like New York, Colorado, Washington, California that have enacted pay transparency laws. And what those just mean is that you have to be transparent when you are hiring for a job on the job posting of what the salary range is. And so in addition to when they're hiring in those states, it is putting pressure on other states, other employers to do the same thing to try to make it a more even playing field for women, especially to be able to minimize that gap.
All right, you're watching Women's Wednesday. Have a good one.